Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a happy holiday season and a happy new year. And I just wanted to kick us off by remembering one of our members who we lost over the holidays, Ellen Ronayne. You might recognize this face. Ellen was a longtime member of the consortium, and I know that she was in a lot of our worlds because she worked for Terry and later for ASA, helping our students gain access to college through financial aid and other packages. And before that, Ellen worked at UMass Boston admissions, and her passion in life was helping people to find their success, find their pathways to success. And that's when she was happiest. She cheered people on, and she was able to share her own story. She started at Massasoit Community College. She then went to UMass Boston and later finished her graduate degree at the Divinity School at Harvard, which she cherished very much, to say that she was a Harvard grad after starting at Massasoit. So that was pretty good. She also had a chair that had the Harvard logo on it until later in life. She gave it away, much to her family's chagrin, and in keeping with how she was, very, very generous. Give you the shirt off her back. I know we all know Ellen from these meetings and other meetings, or many of us know her. I also knew her as my train buddy because we used to schlep from Back Bay to Mansfield, solving the world's problems between delays, and there were plenty of delays, so we solved a lot of problems. I just want to take this time to remember her and to appreciate all she did for people. She was a very giving person, and there's a lot of college graduates out there who can point their direction directly back to Ellen. So I want to honor her, and I wanted to let you know that UMass has set up a student relief fund, which in Ellen's honor. So if you'd like to donate to that, to remember Ellen in something that was definitely near to her heart, that we will be sharing that link in the newsletter when this is over. So just want to shout out to Ellen. She was a good friend and a great colleague. Moving on to better news. Big shout out to Boston Children's Hospital team, 2020-23 Career Stat Frontline Healthcare Worker Champions through the National Fund for Workforce Solutions. The frontline champions are recognized for their efforts building a thriving and equitable workplace through workforce development strategy that invests in skills and careers of frontline workers, adopts the practices and policies to create diverse, accessible, and inclusive workplaces, and uses data to evaluate effectiveness, impact, and equity. New England was well represented this year. In addition to Children's Hospital, Bay State Health in Springfield, go Jason and team, and University of Vermont Health Network in Burlington, Vermont were also recognized. But big congrats to our locals at Boston Children's Hospital, as well as to our kind of locals, Bay State. Awesome news. That's not easy to get. It's been a couple of years in the making, I know that. But Kristen kept at it, and here we are. So that's great. Next, we had to push a little bit. Probably didn't have to push at all. It wasn't even a pull to get one of our dedicated retired workforce development leaders who we all hold near and dear to come out of retirement so that we could at least give her a shout out. There's Karen Shack. I know under that lovely scarf you're wearing sweats. I know that, but that's okay because so am I. Karen started as a career advisor and a job developer. She served as a career consultant and manager of career services at a one-stop center. She worked as a consultant and a workforce development specialist at the Boston PIC for 6 years, where she launched my career. Thank you, Karen. When partners had no idea what to do with a job like mine and didn't understand why I was even there, Karen and Rebecca took me under their wing. They let me stay in their office because I had no office. I had a car that I used to wander around in and nobody wanted to talk to me. So Karen and Rebecca, I fully give full credit to anything that I've done at all in workforce development. So thank you, Karen. Karen spent the last 16 years at Commonwealth Corporation. And I know we've all had the pleasure of working with Karen. We thank her for her commitment and her service to Greater Boston. Wishing her a happy retirement and thanking her for all the dough she got us recently. So Karen, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words to the gang, we'd love to hear from you.
So I just want to thank everybody. If you can hear me, and then I'll go back on video because I want to listen to the rest of the meeting. It's been an amazing run, and I have enjoyed so much working with all of you over the last couple decades. And, this setting with the Healthcare Collaborative, which I've been part of from the very beginning, has been an amazing opportunity, as we all know, to, connect with each other and share information and successes. And I'm really thrilled to have, had the opportunity to work with all of you over these years. And I have no clue over the next couple of years what I'm going to be doing. May turn up in some part-time gig somewhere, but because I can't totally let go of the healthcare workforce stuff.
Good to know.
But because we know there's still a lot of challenges to address. But I just want to thank everybody for all of your participation and for giving me the opportunity to learn from all of you over the years. So, and thanks again, MJ, for setting this up.
You bet. Thank you, Karen. And how about a quick round of applause for our girl, Karen?
If I could just add,
yes, please.
This consortium came together under a grant that, I don't know if you were designed it, Karen, but you certainly oversaw that grant with us. So you were really instrumental in this group coming together and among many other things. But I think people don't necessarily know, who weren't there at the meeting, don't know the role you played in kind of bringing resources to this group to help come together. So thank you again for that as well.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Karen, and thanks for coming today. We appreciate you. Next, and finally, we're going to ask Caitlin Bean to share more about the SkillWorks Fellowship Showcase coming up at the end of this month, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Bean. I'm the Deputy Director of SkillWorks. And later this month, we're excited to be hosting the SkillWorks Fellowship Showcase, which will be highlighting 9 of our grantee organizations that we named in the past year and a half or so that have been basically working on projects that they've identified as solutions to systemic workforce problems. And 6 of them have been working on kind of project planning, planning out the launch of their initiatives, and then 3 of them have been more in implementation mode with a bit larger grant funding. So we're really looking forward to an event where they'll be doing kind of TED Talk style pitches for implementation or sustainability of their projects. So looking forward to hearing from those grantees, some of which are in the room today. I know JVS is one of them. I see Mandy here. Yeah, and I can share out more information that gives a little bit of background on the project and the organizations that are involved. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. And now I'm going to shift over to Kristen so we can get into the meat of the meeting.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kristen Driscoll from Boston Children's. I'm going to walk us through the agenda for this morning. We have the opportunity to showcase some really unique workforce innovations and partnerships that are happening. So we're really excited to bring you members from this group to share a little bit more about things that they're working on. So first, I want to turn it over to and welcome Mandy Townsend, JVS Senior VP of Employer Engagement, to talk about the new R-Lab Training Center in partnership with Quincy College. So Mandy, I'd love to turn it over to you.
Thanks for a couple minutes to talk about our new Workforce and Training Center with Quincy College, who Karen is here. We just wanted to take a minute to tell you the cool things that are happening there to help fill the vacancies that we all know exist and the positions that we all know we need. And tell you a little bit about the history and then tell you about the programs. But I'm going to drop the website link into the chat so you can see the website as well while I'm talking here. So we happen to be in the right place at the right time, thanks to our fearless retired leader, Jerry Rubin. During COVID, he was at a meeting with some folks from the Boston Center for Adult Education, which some of you might know from taking classes there or just where it is. It's in the Back Bay, and they unfortunately had to close and cede their building and resources to an organization. And Jerry happened to be sitting next to someone who was making that decision. And so we were really lucky to be the recipients of a building in the Back Bay at a time when we were thinking about how we expanded our healthcare and careers training programs and our biotechnology training programs. We were sort of running out of room over here at Federal Street and trying to get more involved in different locations across the city. And so we took over the building during the pandemic and tried to figure out how to utilize it, what to do with it, and came up with the concept of a state-of-the-art healthcare and biotechnology life sciences training facility and sought out a training partner to occupy that space with us. The training partner was Quincy College, and we'd been working with them for many years on our biotechnology pipeline and Bridges to College. And so we moved in together in September. It was amazing to actually open sort of on time. We were only 6 months delayed. There were a number of delays due to, being able to get things from that we needed from the supply chain. But essentially what we have, and if folks are coming to our opening tonight, some of you might be coming to that, is on the first floor, a suite of classrooms that JBS occupies. And then our candidates for our training programs go upstairs to some really incredible lab spaces that are used by Quincy College for the technical training piece. And it's a really beautiful partnership because, Quincy has the technical aspects, the technical components and the teaching, and we have the workforce readiness skills and the coaching components. And for our clients to have that seamless experience of just moving from downstairs to upstairs and then into employer sites, we are able to provide a better experience for the candidates. So my team actually piloted the first round in September. We got through the bumps and bruises of opening a new building and working on a new partnership. And in January, all of the programs are operating out of there. So let me tell you about those programs. Our certified nursing assistant program is there. Our patient care technician training program is there. We have a pharmacy technician, 3 different modalities, so hybrid, in-person, and then half hybrid, half in-person. Our biotech, both a short-term training for life science roles in the entry-level biomanufacturing roles, is happening there, as well as our Bridges to College. We have a central sterile processing program that is happening there. Phlebotomy, run by Quincy College. Medical office assistant, also run by Quincy College. Medical clinical assistant run by Quincy College, and then substance addiction assistant, which is run in conjunction with our Bridges to College program with Quincy College and JBS. So we're really excited. I have to tell you, the lab space is so cool. Do not go there at night. We have high fidelity mannequins that are about $75,000. They blink and talk. And so if they've been left on, they're up there like a little morgue, blinking and talking to you or giving birth to babies. So it's really incredible because it creates this experience for our candidates to have a realistic experience with a patient, in a bed or with a hospital room that can interact with them. And so it's a pretty incredible opportunity for our clients to get trained. We have a state-of-the-art biotechnology training lab. I don't like giving tours in there because I say, well, this is the waffle maker, here's the microwave, when in fact it's an incubator and whatever else it's doing growing cells, but it's a really incredible space. And our central sterile processing lab in that building is actually an exact replica of what a hospital would have in their hospital. And so all the training equipment is purchased from medical office suppliers, and so it replicates really what you see in your hospitals. So I want to close by saying I'd love to give you tours, and so I'm offering this group some tours if they're not coming tonight on February 14th, and I can send something to whoever's in charge of this meeting, and you can send out the invite. But if you want to come hang out with me on Valentine's Day, I'll give out little heart candies and give you a tour. But I'm going to do a tour at 9 a.m. and a tour at 2 p.m. for this group, anybody who's interested in coming for a tour. So, and if that day and time doesn't work for you, I can be bribed and I can come a different day. I like sweets and chocolates, so I would be happy to give a tour to anybody else on a different date. And I'm sure Karen would too. Thank you for giving me this time. Karen, I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, I think you covered everything. I will absolutely join you on the 14th.
Perfect. You can do the phlebotomy part. We have a phlebotomy lab that just has arms that hang out and do blood transfusions. And so I always have to skip that room. It is not my favorite place. So Karen, you can take that portion of the tour.
Not a problem.
If anybody has questions too, happy to answer them.
I have a question. How is this funded? Sounds like a lot of money to get this up and going.
Amen, sister. It is a lot of money. We got a lot of support with the capital grants from the Mass Life Sciences organization. And then we also, when we took ownership of the building, were able to use some of the assets from the building to do the renovations. And some of it was easy because they had 2 kitchens. So we turned the kitchens into biotech labs, and some of it was harder where we had to do a lot of shuffling. But carrying forward, we have grants in all of those programs. And then we have fee-for-service relationships with employers, many on this call, where we're training folks. And so it's a combination of philanthropy, fee-for-service, and fundraising.
Brilliant. And are you working with, obviously working with hospitals, are you working with a lot of biotech firms as well?
Yes, we are. And actually, we're having a biotech event there on February 28th. I don't know if our BMC friends are here, but in conjunction with BMC, we're trying to get the word out about biotech. I'm sure some of you heard about the What the Heck is Biotech campaign from Lab Central. We're doing a sort of What the Heck is Biotech with BMC at our lab in February because we're really ramping up the number of biotech training programs we're having there. So yes, life sciences companies are definitely involved in this lab.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sounds
thanks,
great.
Kim.
Awesome. What an energizing way to start out the new year. So I would love to go over to our friends at Quincy College and Boston Children's to talk a little bit about a new program that that we've been working on together as a team, but really the leaders of this project are here to share this exciting program with you. So I'd love to welcome, officially welcome Karen Manning, Dean of Natural Health and Science at Quincy College, and Jamie DiCario, our Chief Anesthesia Technologist at Boston Children's Hospital, to talk about the rising demand of anesthesia techs, the different career opportunities, and really the programming and partnership that's been happening over the last year with Quincy College to really bring to the forefront the educational opportunities that we need to support those career opportunities. So I'd love to turn it over to Karen and Jamie. Thanks for joining
Perfect.
us.
Thank you. I'm actually going to share some slides. I think that they're sharing now. And I want to just stop before I turn it over to Jamie, who's going to give you a little bit of background. This all started with our collaborative relationship with JVS, who said they had a conversation with Children's Hospital. They needed some more education for anesthesia tech. And then they brought me on board and we were able to develop this program. But, one of the things by Quincy College and JVS joining workforce with education, I feel like, we're able to be nimble and create things very quickly. So this is really so exciting for me, for healthcare. So one of the programs that we have developed is the Anesthesia Technology Practical Experience Continuing Education Certificate Program. And I am going to turn it over to Jamie to get information on what exactly is anesthesia tech and some of the responsibility for those that do not have the background. Jamie?
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be with you on this call. I'm realizing how busy Quincy College and Karen have been here lately after hearing about another amazing program. And I'd just like to thank everybody on the call for helping us align really with Quincy College, Kristen and our HR department as well, to really flourish with this collaboration that we have here. And I can appreciate the prior speaker in terms of what the heck is biotech, because there may be many of you on the call that are wondering what exactly is an anesthesia tech. And that's certainly a question I get posed with on most days, as I am a female working in a hospital in scrubs. And they say, "Are you a nurse?" Well, no, I'm not a nurse. My mother, in fact, was one for over 30 years. So I credit her in her passion for healthcare. But the best way I could describe it to people is with the analogy that the surgical tech is to the surgeon what the anesthesia tech is to the anesthesiologist or the nurse anesthetist. Our main priority is delivering safe, effective and efficient anesthesia care to our patients. And unlike our other allied health professions that have been well established, such as surge tech, x-ray tech, MRI, nuke med, there's a lot of other allied health opportunities and professionalism working within the hospital, but ours actually wasn't nationally recognized until 2015. So as you can see, we are definitely very young in our field. Next slide. So our main responsibility is airway management and pain management during surgical procedures. We take full responsibility for maintaining the anesthesia machines in which our patients are going to be hooked up for while they receive anesthesia. We help with regional anesthesia block placements for pain reduction and recovery time as well. We really are the jack of all trades. We have a heavy background in anatomy and physiology, pharmacology, really truly understanding how the body responds to the stress and the demands that are imposed on them during surgical procedures. We respond to airway emergencies, code situations in and out of the operating room. And we do have a lot of out of operating room anesthesia locations in a hospital and outside the hospital, including dental offices and such, in which an anesthesia tech would be a vital member of the care team. We also play a little bit of part in terms of perfusion services that we perform cell saver in-house with some of our certified anesthesia techs, so we can conserve blood management products and also don't need to contact the American Red Cross to perform that service. Many of the qualities possessed by our team of anesthesia techs are very similar to all other OR personnel. Your ability to critically think under pressure, as we are working in a very stressful environment. You're on your feet a lot. You need to work well as a team, and clear, effective, closed loop communication are essentials to the job. In terms of the workforce, the median age is just over 40. It's predominantly held by white Americans. The average median income, this is captured nationwide, depending on your geographical location. Anesthesia techs do make more. It is projected to grow heavily over the course of the next decade, and we are trying to proactively prepare ourselves for having well-qualified certified techs in the field. This not only just represents our staff here at Boston Children's, which I will tell you, we have over 60 anesthesia techs that work across the enterprise. Traditionally, it was only on-the-job training, but we are trying to, again, mimic ourselves after our other allied healthcare professions, in which it's a degree in the field and a national certification. So my staff, for example, I have staff with just a couple months of experience and over 40 years of experience. So we are trying to capture really where the employee's at in their career and be able to give them the opportunity for formalized education, leading them towards national certification. By the numbers you can see, there is a big demand. We are really underrepresented compared to the other healthcare fields here. So there is a strong push by our national organization, which is the American Society of Anesthesia Technologists and Technicians, to allow staff to obtain certification. There are only about 13 schools nationwide, and they're primarily on the West Coast or in the South. And currently, New England has no school opportunity. The benefits to certification, not just here at Boston Children's, where we've identified a strong career path, but again, our national organization only supports the scope of practice by these certified technologists. We want to be able to standardize the training and that scope of practice across the country. We'd like to be able to provide a pool of highly qualified applicants for employment. There is financial compensation for obtaining certification, and it also gives people potential to take on a more leadership role within their departments.
So what, in collaboration, when working with Children's Hospital, Quincy College did create the Anesthesia Tech Practical Experience Education Certificate Program. And this is for experienced uncertified anesthesia tech. It's a 15-week online program. And basically what it's going to do is prepare them and give them the knowledge that they need for the national certification. So 14 weeks, it is online, 4.5 hours per week. And that is all the theory for the program. And the last week is all certification prep, test taking strategies to prepare them again for that certification exam. The tuition, $1,300, and it does not include book, but since they're experienced anesthesia techs, most of the hospital libraries have the books, and Quincy College Library has the books. So a lot of them won't even need to purchase the book. We are offering the first course February 20th to May 31st. Again, it's online, but we are holding weekly support sessions that would be synchronous. So students would have an opportunity to ask questions, and we can keep them current and not falling behind if they come into these support sessions. So admission criteria for us at Quincy College for this program, high school diploma or equivalent, currently working as an anesthesia tech seeking certification via the practical experience pathway, and basic life support. Additional criteria they need to get the certification required by ASAP, which is the accreditation body, is they need a minimum number of years in the field as an anesthesia tech. They need to have completed anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 with a grade of C or better within the last 7 years, and the same completion of general chemistry with a C or better within the last 7 years, and they need current ACLS. So we could also work with them and support them in achieving those requirements if they do not have it. The current course summary is divided into 4 sections. So over the 14 weeks, section 1, basic science and basic principles of anesthesia. Section 2, equipment, instrumentation, and technology, and the professional aspects of anesthesia tech. Section 3, pharmacology. Section 4, advanced principles and special considerations. And yes, we will be looking from across the lifespan and across different surgical types versus like cardiac, ortho, trauma. And then the last week being prep for certification. Students interested can go right on to Quincy College website, register, apply now. The apply now actually is just a form that they would complete. It comes to admissions and directly to me. What happens is I will send them back an email with frequently asked questions, asking if they want a one-on-one. And if all is set, then I will put them in the classroom. They can email me directly if they just want a one-on-one to see if they have some of the requirements that are greater than 7 years and they need to talk individually. They can just email me directly. We have flyers. I can send Kristen the flyer or MJ the flyer. I can send these slides so you have it. Anyone who needs anatomy and physiology, chemistry, all the community colleges offer it. Quincy College offers it every semester. We offer it in every format, going from traditional face-to-face to 100% online to hybrid, with theory is online, labs are in class. We have offered 7-week science courses, 14-week science courses. Again, spring, summer, fall, it's offered every semester. So they can take it at any college. The goal is for us at Quincy College And again, this is one of the programs that comes out of our lab, even though it's online, it does come out of that our lab that Mandy just mentioned. So we are going to be offering it 2 to 3 times per year. We're going to start twice a year. And the goal is over the next year is to develop an associate degree program that we will house here on the Quincy campus in Quincy, Mass. So any questions?
Karen and Jamie, thank you so much. I also, we're running out of time. So if folks have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. You can also email them to Ashley or myself, and we can compile, and we can get those answers back out to folks in the newsletter. Want to quickly thank Trisha Lopez from our team, who's also very involved in this process and helping to bring this together. And like I mentioned in the chat, we're now reaching out to current anesthesia techs at Boston Children's, offering this opportunity, trying to, you know, support folks and make sure they have the needed resources to connect with this course. One thing I would just mention in Karen and Jamie's presentation, you all shared the median, you know, salary. That's really the starting opportunity for somebody at an entry level point. I'm just looking for Jamie and Karen on the screen, right? And there's lots of room for folks to grow once you get that national certification. That sort of opens up specialty opportunities, which then could come with additional pay and compensation to really value that experience. So great up and coming field, like Jamie and Karen said, and thank you both so much for being here. And we're excited to hear how this first cohort of the program goes. So thank you. All right, so moving us along, I would love to introduce our colleagues from Boston Medical Center, Robin Lucier, Senior Director of HR, Macy Reed, Director of Community Programming and Volunteer Services, along with Nicole McLaughlin from the YMCA, who is the Program Director of Employer Services, to talk about a new fellowship program that was developed with these two partners. So I would love to turn it over to you all. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. We are thrilled to talk about the BMC Healthcare Fellowship pilot program. It has been an absolute labor of love with many helping hands, and we're excited to share it with you. Next slide, please. So a little background, here at BMC, we have a Thrive Screener. This is presented in many of our ambulatory clinics to patients upon every single visit. And you'll see that second from the bottom, there's a question, are you currently unemployed and looking for a job? We weren't necessarily taking any action, or at least here in human resources, we weren't taking any action with that question or with that answer. And so in about 2019, we decided to put some effort and put some planning behind how do we address our patients and how do we support our patients who identify employment as a barrier to their health. We partnered with family medicine and selected patients who might have answered this question with a yes within the last 6 months. So that's sort of our starting point. Next slide, please. So our healthcare fellowship is a program that we worked really strongly with an advisory board who met at various stages of the planning to help us craft language and craft recruitment and focus of our internal trainings. The advisory board really helped at the beginning to help us navigate our language regarding patient confidentiality. And so the program, we partnered with the YMCA to have them complete training with our patients, with our participants. And although we were not outright promising a job at the end of the program, the end result of the time and hard work and dedication that the participants put in would be an interview for an open position at BMC, specifically an ASR, an ambulatory service representative job. Before the interview, though, all of the participants would have to complete a 12-week training program with the Y. And with that, I'll actually turn it over to Nicolai from the YMCA Training Inc. to explain a little bit more about the partnership with the Y.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so the YMCA, we were really excited to partner with Boston Medical Center on this initiative because as the Y, we always try to, we're always thinking to ourselves, how can we better help our community? So this was a really great opportunity to partner with Boston Medical Center to provide comprehensive training to their patients for the different jobs at their hospital. So what we did is we partnered with Boston Medical Center and we took our existing 12-week medical administrative employment credential program and really infused what BMC needed into it to prepare these patients enrolled in the program for these ambulatory service representative roles. So our 12-week program consisted of just basic Microsoft Office and office skills training. It also included medical office procedures, introduction to medical coding and billing, medical terminology, and health insurance. And every Wednesday from week 1 of the program, every Wednesday, the trainees would go to Boston Medical Center and learn more about BMC's expectations for employment, learn more about the culture and the organization itself. So we really infused what I call the BMC onboarding right at the front of the program, and it was interwoven throughout the 12 weeks. So trainees were able to meet BMC stakeholders, learn more about the hospital as they were in class with us at our offices. So it was a really nice collaboration. During the 12-week training program, we also infused our career readiness curriculum. So again, we took our existing career readiness curriculum and talked to Boston Medical Center about how we could tweak the curriculum to really prepare the trainees for employment. And what we did is took their information for the ambulatory service representative roles and infused that information into our career readiness curriculum. So the trainees really better understood what an ambulatory service rep was, and they were able to craft a resume that spoke to the new medical administrative skills that they were learning, as well as the different skills that were required by BMC. So it was just a really nice collaboration. And I think what made the pilot so successful is that it was a nice collaboration between a training program and an employer. And we intertwined the onboarding process from week 1 all the way through week 12. So BMC was a part of the program to fully prepare the trainees throughout the process. And I think that's what really speaks to the success of the program, in addition to the content that they were learning. So we really, appreciate BMC's partnership in this regard.
Next slide, please, Ashley. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us. Clearly, this group has done a lot of work together, a lot of great work together. I'm really fascinated by everything that you've talked about this morning. I'm Robin Luzier. I'm a Senior Director, HR Business Partner at Boston Medical Center. When Macy asked me to join the advisory board, I jumped in feet first because I could envision us creating potential, unleashing potential for people who might not have had that opportunity before. And if I get teary, don't mind me, because every time I talk about this program, I get very teary. It was really, as Macy said, a labor of love. And these are some of the numbers. We realized fairly quickly we were reaching the deadline of when we needed to get participants in and enrolled and interviewed for the program. We brought in our career navigator, and he took the Thrive survey and literally made 128 phone calls to people who identified that they needed work, needed a job. We had 21 applications received. We interviewed 13 candidates. We made 10 offers to participants. We had 9 fellows who enrolled, and then we had 6 who actually graduated through the whole program. We placed 5, and we now have 4 who are successfully have completed their probationary period and are thriving at BMC. So we feel like 4, it seems like, you start with 128 and you end up with 4, but it's 4 lives that we've changed, and they are really have made a difference in their departments. And because they are patients, they know BMC on a different level than people coming in who've never been here. So thank you. Next slide, please, Ashley. This is just a timeline of the whole program. I won't go through it in detail. When Nicolene just talked about the 12 weeks and how we immersed them in not only the Y training, but BMC. And I have to say kudos to the Y. They prepared our participants so well. The first round of interviews were super successful. We gave them the questions that we would ask an ASR rep candidate, and they were very, very well prepared. So congratulations. This is just a quick timeline. They did go through EPIC training. They prepared, with their resumes. They were immersed in the BMC culture, and I think that made a huge difference for them on day 1 when they got here. We had somebody come in who was an ASR who's been very successful, and she talked about what the role was like, so they knew what it would be like when they joined BMC. And again, if you saw their resumes, they're probably somebody who wouldn't have gone through a normal hiring process because their resumes just don't fit what our talent, no offense, Sandy, what our talent acquisition partners would be looking for ASRs. Next slide, please, Ashley. Lessons learned. I won't go through all these. I know we're running out of time. We're probably out of time. So I won't go through all of these, but my top 2 are giving yourselves enough time. If you do run a program like this, give yourselves enough time to find participants, because that does take a while. We were rushed at the end, as I said, to meet the deadline. And then not limiting participants to one particular role. We identified ASR because we had openings at the time when we started the program, the pilot, but I wouldn't limit our participants. The next time we do it, I won't limit them to just that one particular role. Macy, Nicolene, anything you'd add to lessons learned? Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you inviting us here today.
I think the biggest success that we found with the folks that made it through the entire process were the provider referrals. So we really tried to push family medicine providers to refer their patients into this program. And those people had the biggest success in completing the program, not necessarily the ones that got the cold call from our career navigator saying, hey, would you want to join in this program? And so that's one thing that when we scale this up is to really try and not just limit it to one clinic or 1 or 2 providers, but really outreach to as many providers as possible that might have patients in mind that are ready for the next step in their career and for a job. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic to hear about this, and I think lots of folks are taking notes and we'll be following up with questions and wanting to talk with the BMC team further and the YMCA. So moving us right along, I'm going to pass the mic over to Candace. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. And wow, I really am just overwhelmed by the work that's being done by all 3 organizations that presented. So thank you for that. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Candace Burns. I'm from Dana-Farber. And, this great content that we're seeing in this meeting and other meetings in the past would not happen without you. So this is an opportunity for us to pause and pick your brains again. So as we prepare for meetings for 2024, we want to hear from you. So amazing Ashley is going to put up a poll everywhere link in the chat, and we'd love for you to share your ideas for what future HCC meeting topics or feedback could look like. This is going to generate a word cloud that will appear on the screen momentarily, and we'll use your input when navigating this year's agenda. So Ashley, I think you've already put the link in, and let's see what comes up.
Candace, do you mind clarifying for those of us where the coffee hasn't totally kicked in? What do you want us to answer? What should we be saying in here? Just being totally truthful. I'm struggling a little. Thank you.
No problem. So we are just looking for a word that might give us some ideas to include in this year's 2024 agendas. So it could be a word, it could be a phrase, or any feedback. Again, okay, it's now coming in. Again, any thoughts that would, again, help us build out agendas for this year moving forward. Fantastic. They are coming in now. Love it. Okay.
While folks are filling this out, just for just so that you know how the word cloud works as well. So the bigger the word, the more frequency folks are saying. So we see community, retention, immigrants, roles. I'll be sure to be able to like collect all the individual responses and sift through them. But as a visual, that means that multiple people are saying that we need to talk about retention. Multiple people are saying that we need to talk about the immigrant community. Other things on here, you know, partnerships, collaboration. There's obviously overlap. Folks are using, you know, there's partnership and partnerships. That probably would have been a bigger word, but that's how the word cloud works. And we'll be sure to take all this feedback. For sake of time, please feel free to keep putting your ideas in the link. I'm just going to stop sharing and move along to Joanne's part so we can also move into the discussion for today. Thank you.
So as usual, we packed a lot of meat into today's meeting sandwich. And this is a really important section. So Governor Healy's Workforce Skills Cabinet has been visiting different regions to check in on regional planning. And in October, they had a meeting with the Greater Boston Regional Planning Initiative. A number of us were there. The Healthcare Consortium Executive Committee was able to host a breakout session to showcase the Greater Boston region's work and talk about challenges in hiring folks into healthcare. And after sharing some barriers to training people into critical healthcare roles in this workforce crisis, we're asked to, you know, share with the governor's office, what are the top barriers to filling key healthcare roles? So we talked through some examples like lack of clinical sites, you know, instructors for CNAs, limited seats in RN programs, workforce competitiveness trust fund limitations. But we thought it would be best to kind of bring this issue back to this group and break out and hear about different stakeholder perspectives. So in a moment, we're going to ask you to self-select into the breakout session that is most applicable to you. And we're doing this by areas. So there's going to be an employer group, a college group, and a community-based training group. And if you don't fit neatly into one of those groups, just choose which group you feel you want to be part of. And we're going to ask questions like, in this healthcare workforce crisis, what is getting in the way of training people into critical roles? So we really want to hear from you on this. And then, you know, also, what do we want to feed back to the state? What changes might we ask them to make? What barriers do they have control over? So those are some of the things we're going to talk about. So now Ashley is going to do what I could never do, which is get us in breakout sessions. So Ashley, back to you.
I'm ready, Colleen.
All
Take
right.
it away.
I'm like, ready, Santa. Okay, so in the spirit of Boston sports, football, as we know, is over on so many levels, and we are now going to look at spring training and go around the horn to get feedback from all these different groups. So why don't we start first with the group who focus on employers? We have a representative to kind of give some feedback.
Yeah, hi, it's Joanne. So we had a good discussion. We talked about a number of things. One is often starting in healthcare, you have a job that is not family sustainable, right? Like a CNA. And how are we building more bridge programs to nursing and other things? And how are we thinking about that as a trajectory to bring people in and then keep them growing? We talked a lot about nursing, the need for more seats, the need for more teachers, the need for less regulation around the schools, the need for more clinical placements, and just more attention in that space generally. We talked a lot about how, you know, healthcare is a sector like teaching, like utilities, where we have a lot of in-person jobs. And a lot of the rest of other sectors have bounced back, and we haven't, in part because we need these in-person jobs. So how do we really think about that? And are we going to hybridize more jobs, or are we going to incent people for the in-person work they're doing, and that piece? And then we also talked about an image problem. You know, you hear a lot about the strain of healthcare, and how do we talk about the great things about healthcare, the good jobs we have with career opportunities? And somebody talked about a call to service. These are jobs with purpose. And how do we get that messaging out a little bit more? And then one last thing we talked about was credential creep, and the classic example of surge techs now needing an associate degree to move into that job, and who has 2 years to not have income and study for that job. So how do we right-size training given the salaries people are going to make at the end of the day?
That's great. Thank you, Joanne. One thing that came to mind when you were talking as well is, you know, these are anchor institutions. These jobs aren't going anywhere. So that's another big plus, I think, for healthcare roles. Moving on to the college group. And I know, Kim, you were our brave reporter.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And please jump in from our team if I forgot anything. Pretty much what Joanne had said, I think we touched upon that. Some of the other things that are getting in the way of people taking these trainings is the finances to attend, to get people in the seats, the issue of all of sort of the outside forces like needing childcare, the lack of flexibility on some of these grants and the restrictions can be very, very challenging. Finding faculty to teach came up several times. A couple of our higher ed partners talked about some projects, programs they're working on, pre-academy, which is linking students from high school to college in some of these positions and in the field, which are working really well. Another higher ed partner talked about the success of working very closely with students as they're going through the different programs. The other thing we talked about is, again, the flexibility in grant funding, allowing stipends for participants. And we had just started question 3. We really didn't get into that as much. So those were kind of our updates.
Big challenge with enough faculty and payment of faculty, and using funds to be able to pay faculty as well as sort of programs and more of the kind of specific student kind of things. Without the faculty, there's no program. Okay, and bad and cleanup, the CBO group. Who do we have to report out for that?
Yeah, so we had the training providers, and on question 1, the biggest barriers were schedules, having to take time away from work when you really can't afford it, you're supporting a family. Big barrier is the availability of vocational English. There's a lot of people who would love to get into these careers. And then that continues into skilled professionals who also don't have a credentialing transfer process. That, you know, we shouldn't have doctors pushing trolleys because they don't speak English or because their credentials from Haiti. Wage levels is a big one. How do we get people into jobs that they can afford, that they can live on? And as far as funding in the grants, the ability to provide wraparound services and maybe fund the time off so they're not losing salary by going to training. On the interventions, the first one was more money, making the grants more flexible and with a longer time frame, changing what the others all went to was the teachers, the requirements around skilled nursing facilities and master's degrees for the teachers. Training programs also cannot afford to pay nurses to work as a nurse instructor, and the lack of testing facilities that kind of got screwed up over COVID. On the scaling, we just got started on that, and the scaling was more flexible schedules from community colleges, release time from employers, again, funding used to pay the salaries and frequent communication with the state to allow us to know where we need, where there's funding and how we build.
Thank you, Angela. That's great. If anyone has other thoughts, feel free to drop them in the chat. And we back now over to Ashley.
Great. And Joanne, did you say you had one more comment to add to your report out?
Oh, I just added it in the chat, but another thing that was mentioned is how do we get better at taking foreign trained professionals and having a very clear pathway to get them reemployed quickly at the top of their license as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned that as well. Yep.
Well, thank you all so much for being such active participants today. Of course, between the poll and the breakout groups, we always want to hear from you, and also a huge thank you to all of our presenters at the top of the meeting, sharing your workforce innovations. I apologize. When I set up the poll everywhere, I did not realize that there was going to be a limit to the responses despite the settings. It was allowing folks. My settings allowed folks to respond as many times as they wanted, but a free account limits you to 25, and I didn't know that. So please, before you go, I always keep the chats, and this one has been a very robust chat in the sense of folks adding additional information about their programs or the new Mass Bay Health Science Building, all of that. So I'm going to be sifting through the chat after this meeting to make sure we don't miss anything. So if you had something that didn't get in the word cloud, or you're just worried that something didn't get in the word cloud, please feel free to just pretend our chat is the word cloud, and I will collect all of your feedback for the meeting topics and for content that you want to see over the course of our 2024 meeting year. Note takers from the breakout sessions, please feel free to forward me. I'll also review this recording, but please feel free to forward me any notes that you had so that I can also make sure that we compile that, see what the overlap is across the groups as well, and find a way to feed this back up to the Workforce Skills Cabinet. I think I also saw MHA here. I know we taught at our regional planning meeting, so I'll make sure to follow up with you all as well. In terms of meeting materials, so a lot of content today. It will go out in the newsletter. It will be posted on the Healthcare Careers Consortium. If for some reason you're not getting, I imagine that all of you that are here are getting the newsletter, but if you ever have issues with the newsletter, please feel free to reach out to me. We did announce our 2024 meeting dates. So you'll see that in the newsletter, but we have March 5th, June 5th, September 12th, and December 3rd. Those are our quarterly meetings for this year. And I will also, just for sake of access, be sure to set up some kind of poll everywhere or something. Maybe I'll use Kristen Driscoll's account for poll everywhere for the folks that weren't able to get ideas in today, to get folks feedback in our through the newsletter. So I don't know how we did it. We were over time. Now we're under time. If anyone has additional comments, you can feel free to hop on in. But that's it. That's what we did today. I thank you all for your active participation, and thank you always to our executive committee for leading the path forward. I hope everyone has had a great start to their new year and a great rest of your Thursday and Friday.